Welcome to Gridiron Ring, sports talk show covering football and professional wrestling. I'm your host, the Encyclopedia of Sports, cool hand Luke 96. College football Week 15 predictions and NFL Week 14 predictions, all in one audio recording, all in one video once again this week, so hopefully you enjoy. Be sure, if you haven't done so already, to like, follow, and subscribe to Gridiron Ring on social media. All the links are in the description below for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Periscope, Gridiron Ring's website, my Twitter, and Instagram as well. So last week in college football for conference championship weekend, I went 10-5, brought my overall record to 234 and 119 on the season. Have one game this upcoming weekend, that's Army-Navy. I'll get to that here in a minute. Last Friday though, in the MAC conference championship game, Northern Illinois came back and defeated Buffalo by a score of 30-29. Washington and Utah in a defensive showdown out west in Santa Clara in the Pac-12 title game. Washington won that by a score of 10-3 over Utah. Oklahoma over Texas in the Big 12, 39-27. Oklahoma makes the college football playoff. I'll get to that here in a minute as well. App State over Louisiana Lafayette, 30-19 in the Sun Belt. Iowa State defeated Drake in a makeup game, 27-24. NC State over East Carolina, also in a makeup game, 58-3. A couple other makeup games, South Carolina defeated Akron, 28-3. Virginia Tech got to 6 wins after they defeated Marshall by a score of 41-20. They now have the longest active bowl streak in college football. UAB over Middle Tennessee State, 27-25. Got revenge from the week before. Stanford over Cal, 23-13. Central Florida won the American Athletic Conference 56-41 over Memphis. Alabama defeated Georgia in Atlanta at Mercedes-Benz Stadium for the second time in under a year. This time around, though, in the SEC title game, a score of 35-28. Alabama also makes the playoff for the consecutive season. The Fresno State Bulldogs got revenge on the Boise State Broncos in a rematch, second game in less than a month. Also taking place in Boise, as I said last week. Fresno State won 19-16 in overtime to win the Mountain West. Clemson hit 42-10 in the ACC title game. They're also in the playoff. And then in the Big Ten title game last Saturday night, the final game of conference championship weekend, Ohio State defeated Northwestern 45-24 and won the Big Ten once again. So as I said, I'd get to the college football playoff rankings. The top 4. That's all I'm going to go over today. The rest really doesn't matter until next week now. That's when I'll have my bowl game preview out. I'll tell you about all the bowl games, all 40-plus bowl games that are happening this season for the 2018-19 college football season. All the semifinal games, the 2 semifinal games I should say, which I'll go over now. But I'll go over the rest of your 6 games next week in my bowl game preview and all the other bowl games happening this season, as I said. So stay tuned for that next week. So the college football playoff, the top 4, they were announced this past Sunday. Alabama's 1, Clemson's 2, Notre Dame 3, and then Oklahoma, after defeating Texas, they are number 4. So Alabama's going to play Oklahoma in the Orange Bowl at 8 o'clock on Saturday, December 29th. And then earlier in the day, at 4 p.m. in the Cotton Bowl in Arlington, Texas, Clemson will play Notre Dame. So 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3. And then, as I said, stay tuned for my college football bowl game preview. Now, as I said earlier, there's only one game this upcoming weekend, and that is Army-Navy. There are 4 games, though, in the FCS. Maine plays Weber State, Colgate, North Dakota State, South Dakota State, Kennesaw State, and UC Davis, Eastern Washington. I'm not going to preview or predict those, but Army-Navy, this is the last college football regular season game of the 2018 season now. Navy, they will not be going to a bowl game this year. Army, they will. They're playing Houston in 2 weeks in the Armed Forces Bowl. As I said, Navy not going to bowl game. They're down this year. Army looking to win 3 in a row versus the Midshipmen for the first time since 1992 to 1996, when they won 5 in a row. These type of games, the rivalry between Army and Navy, you throw the records out the window. It's either go Navy, beat Army, or go Army, beat Navy. And I'm going to go with the latter in a low-scoring game this season. So go Army, beat Navy. But thank you to both of the branches. Thank you to all 5 branches of the United States military, the Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guard as well. As today is Pearl Harbor, Friday, December 7th, 2018, 77 years to the day, a date which will live in infamy. So give me Army over Navy in Philadelphia at Lincoln Financial Field at 3 p.m. on Saturday, December 8th, 2018. And then, as I said, next week I'll have my college football bowl preview out, so stay tuned for that. The bowl games will begin on the 15th of December and will run until Monday, January the 7th, concluding with the 2019 College Football Playoff National Championship game. Also on Saturday, though, I'm going to throw this into this audio recording, this video this week. The Heisman Trophy ceremony is on Saturday as well. Going to take place at 8 p.m. in New York City, as it does every year, the second Saturday in December, the same day as the Army-Navy game. So we got Army-Navy at 3 p.m. on CBS on Saturday, and then on ESPN Saturday night at 8 o'clock, the Heisman Trophy ceremony. The first time, though, since 2008, it's been 10 years since we've had 3 quarterbacks as the finalist. We have Tua Tagovailoa, quarterback from Alabama, Kyler Murray, quarterback from Oklahoma, and Dwayne Haskins, quarterback for Ohio State. So who's going to lift the 25-pound Heisman Trophy high above their head, hoist it up in the air on Saturday night, and be the 2018 Heisman winner? Will it be Tua Tagovailoa, who played in 13 games, had 199 completions on 294 attempts, almost had 3,500 yards passing, 3,353 yards to be exact, had 37 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. Also on the ground, 48 rushing attempts, 190 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Basically all season up until probably the LSU game, the first weekend in November, if you guys can remember that. He really didn't even play in the fourth quarter at all up until that point. But he still had a great season, and you got to give credit where credit is due. As I said, almost 3,500 yards passing, almost 40 touchdowns through the air, 5 on the ground. Did have 4 interceptions, didn't really run the ball a whole lot, and he did get banged up a little bit. And I think that's what's going to cost him the Heisman Trophy on Saturday. I would have said a couple weeks ago he probably still would have been the Heisman favorite, the Heisman winner for this year. But you also have Kyler Murray and Dwayne Haskins. Haskins, I'll start with first, also played in 13 games. He was 348 of 496. Threw the ball the most between these 3 guys. Had 4,500 yards passing, 4,580 yards to be exact, 47 touchdowns and 8 picks. Had the most touchdowns thrown between these 3 guys, these 3 quarterbacks, but also had the most interceptions as well. 1 more over Kyler Murray, who threw 7. Dwayne Haskins also on the ground, not really that effective. 73 rushing attempts for 122 yards and 4 scores. But Kyler Murray, as I said, he's also going to be in New York City for the Heisman ceremony on Saturday night. He also played in 13 games, 241 for 340 passing, had 4,000 yards, 40 touchdowns, and as I said, 7 picks. But on the ground, that is where he was most effective between these 3 guys. Passing really beat out Tua, came close to Haskins there, about 500 yards shy, and 7 touchdowns short as well, through 1 last pick. But on the ground, Kyler Murray, 123 rushing attempts, the most between this, 892 yards rushing, and 11 scores. And I think because of Kyler Murray's running ability, what he's able to do on the ground this year, being a dual threat quarterback, I think that is why Kyler Murray will win the 2018 Heisman Trophy. I think it's going to be close. If Murray wins, it will be the first time since 2004, 2005 that the same school, go back to USC with Matt Leinart and Reggie Bush, that the same school has won the Heisman Trophy in back-to-back years. Would also make history by becoming the first school to produce 2 different Heisman winners in back-to-back seasons at the same position. Last year, Baker Mayfield, he's in the NFL now, was the number 1 overall pick by the Cleveland Browns. Kyler Murray steps in. I believe if he wins as well, he would become the first ever transferred player to win a Heisman. Formerly a quarterback at Texas A&M, transferred after he really wasn't playing a whole lot under the head coach Kevin Sumlin, who's now at Arizona. This is all after Johnny Manziel at Texas A&M. So he transferred to Oklahoma, sat behind Baker Mayfield, who, as I said, also played for the Sooners, won the Heisman last year, and is now in the NFL with the Browns. But Archie Griffin, still the only 2-time Heisman winner in back-to-back years, 1974 and 1975. And plus, Tua, he's only a true sophomore, so he'll have next year to go out and showcase his talents once again. And I think going into next year, I should say, Tua Tagovailoa will be the favorite, as Kyler Murray will be stepping away from football after this season. He was drafted by the Oakland Athletics in the Major League Baseball draft this past summer with the number 10th pick, I believe it was, signed with the A's, so he has decided he will be playing baseball and not football. So we'll have to see if he does change his mind and decides to play both, but he said he will still be sticking with baseball moving into the future. So Kyler Murray, I think, will beat out Tua Tagovailoa and Dwayne Haskins, and I think it'll be a close finish, the closest probably since 2008, 10 years ago, when we had Sam Bradford beat Colt McCoy and Tim Tebow for the 2008 Heisman Trophy. So those are my Heisman Trophy predictions, along with my college football Week 15 predictions, just the Army-Navy game. As I said, there is 4 FCS playoff games this upcoming weekend, so there is going to be football on other than Army-Navy. Also, the NFL will be on Sunday. There was a game last night. The Jaguars and Titans played. So stay tuned for my thoughts and opinions on NFL Week 14, moving closer and closer into the playoffs. So as I said there a little bit ago, today is Friday, December the 7th, 2018, Pearl Harbor Day, 77 years to the day of the attacks on Pearl Harbor, a date which will live in infamy. Last night, though, in the NFL, the Titans and Jaguars played on Thursday Night Football. Doing my predictions now because this game, to me, going into on paper, really, I wasn't that excited for it. I did watch it, and Derrick Henry went off, had 17 rushes for 238 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns. Titans records now, as the Titans defeat the Jaguars 30-9 in the AFC South last night on Thursday Night Football. But last week, before I get into NFL Week 14, NFL Week 13, I went 8-5, brought my overall record to 91-69-2 on the season. Now, last Thursday night, the week after Thanksgiving, I believe that was the 28th of November. Yeah, if I look at a calendar, 28th of November, the Dallas Cowboys hosted the New Orleans Saints. They snapped the Saints' 10-game winning streak by a score of 13-10. So Dallas over New Orleans last Thursday. Now, last night in the NFL, like I said, the Titans defeated the Jaguars 30-9. The Giants defeated the Bears 30-27 in overtime. What a game that was. I was on Periscope for that, so if you guys tune in and watch my live reactions, play-by-play of the Giants-Bears game, thank you. I'll be on Periscope again this weekend. Follow me on Twitter and Periscope at ColehandLuke96 to stay up to date. Houston over Cleveland 29-13. Baltimore defeated Atlanta 26-16. Lamar Jackson is now 3-0 as a starter. Joe Flacco, though, reportedly healthy to come back and start for the Falcons, or the Ravens, who defeated the Falcons 26-16. But it looks like Lamar Jackson will start once again this Sunday, as the Ravens will be playing in Kansas City against the Chiefs. So Flacco, who knows if his career in Baltimore is over. More than likely, if Lamar Jackson continues to play the way he's playing now. As I said, 3-0 as a starter in the NFL, the only rookie quarterback with an undefeated record at the moment. Denver defeated Cincinnati 24-10. A.J. Green is now done for the season as well. Andy Dalton done there a couple weeks ago, as is the Bengals season. I think it is now. I think the Bengals season is over. I don't think there's any shot they'll make the playoffs. The Rams went to the Motor City, defeated the Lions 30-16 after a dominant fourth quarter. It was close there at the end of the third. They scored 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter and won by a score of 30-16. The Cardinals went to Lambeau and defeated the Green Bay Packers, and that put the final nail in the coffin for Mike McCarthy for his tenure in Green Bay. The Cardinals defeated the Packers 20-17. The Packers then fired Mike McCarthy. He is now out looking for a new job. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers over the Carolina Panthers 24-17. The Panthers have now lost 4 in a row. Chiefs defeated the Raiders 40-33, even without Kareem Hunt after releasing him 1 week ago today, last Friday. But they're going to need to find a running game, if you ask me, if they want to make a run into the playoffs. Sammy Watkins now also done for 4 to 6 weeks with an injury. They did, however, sign Kelvin Benjamin, the former Panther and Bill wide receiver, after the Bills released him the other day. The Seahawks over the 49ers 43-16. The Patriots defeated the Vikings at home in Foxborough 24-10. The Chargers and Steelers played on Sunday night, and the Eagles and Redskins played on Monday night. Sunday night, the Chargers defeated the Steelers 33-30 on a game-winning field goal. What a game that was as well. Reactions are over on Periscope to that. If you guys tuned in and watched my live reactions play-by-play of that game, thanks as well. It was a doubleheader on Sunday. More than likely going to do a doubleheader again this upcoming Sunday. So like I said, be sure to follow me on Twitter and Periscope at GoHandLuke96. But my reactions to both those games, the Giants, Bears, and Chargers, Steelers, are over on Periscope. So go over and watch the replays of those. And then on Monday night, as I said, the Eagles and Redskins played in Philadelphia at the Link. The Eagles won by a score of 28-13. So NFL Week 14 now. Kicked off last night, as I said, on Thursday night. The Titans defeat the Jaguars 30-9. Then now on Sunday, the Giants will go to Washington, Landover, Maryland, to play the Washington Redskins. Big win, though, last week for the Giants versus the Bears in overtime, 30-27. As I said, the Redskins, they're now down to Mark Sanchez at quarterback. I think the Giants, they'll win a close one, and this is where the dominoes will start falling the wrong way, I believe, for the Washington Redskins. I don't think they'll be making the playoffs now. As I said, they're down to Mark Sanchez at quarterback after Alex Smith went down there a couple weeks ago with an injury. Colt McCoy went down with a season-ending injury on Monday night as well. So Mark Sanchez, and then they signed Josh Johnson, who was drafted in the Alliance of American Football League draft there a couple weeks ago. So who knows what's going to happen? We'll have to see. But Washington season is more than likely over. I think the dominoes, they're going to start falling the wrong way, as I said, on Sunday versus the New York Football Giants, Big Blue Nation. So the Colts and Texans, they'll play in Houston on Sunday. The Texans now have a 9-game winning streak that started versus Indianapolis earlier this year when the Texans were 0-3. The Texans won 37-34 in overtime, if you guys can remember back to Sunday, September the 30th. Can the Colts end the Texans streak that they basically started? Just saw the Saints get their 10-game winning streak snapped there last week against Dallas. This is really a toss-up because I like both of these teams, but I think the Texans, they'll win at home. Plus, did you see how the Colts played last week versus the Jacksonville Jaguars? They lost 6-0. Like, come on. Texans will win a close one over Indianapolis on Sunday. New Orleans, speaking of the Saints, they go to Tampa Bay. They're coming off a loss. That 10-game winning streak was snapped with a loss to Dallas. And that 10-game winning streak, that started week 2 after losing week 1 to Tampa Bay at home in a shootout, 48-40. Tampa Bay is playing well at the moment as well, coming off a couple game win streak there. They defeated Carolina there last week. They're on a 4-game skid. I think they'll snap their 4-game skid when they go to Cleveland to play the Browns. So there's that game for you. But Saints, Buccaneers, just said Tampa Bay is playing well. But I think New Orleans, they'll bounce back after losing to Dallas. So give me New Orleans over Tampa Bay. New England will go to South Beach to play Miami. Last year when New England went to Miami on Monday night, they lost by a score of 27-20. But that was last year. This is this year. The Patriots, Tom Brady, and Bill Belichick will defeat Adam Gase and the Miami Dolphins. Kansas City, as I said, they will host Baltimore. Baltimore, they've won 3 in a row, but they're going to arguably one of the toughest places to play in the NFL, to play one of the best teams in the NFL at the moment, the Kansas City Chiefs. I know they cut Kareem Hunt there last week. Sammy Watkins is out with an injury. They signed Kelvin Benjamin. Like I said, we'll have to see if he is going to be a factor in this game on Sunday. Who knows? He might not even play because he probably really won't even know the playbook because they just signed him the other day. But Kansas City, just too tough to pick against them when they're playing at home. This game's at 1 o'clock on Sunday. So give me KC over Baltimore. Lamar Jackson will lose his first game as a starter in the NFL, I believe, on Sunday. So as I said, Carolina goes to Cleveland. I think they'll snap their 4-game skid against the Browns. Could either see a low-scoring defensive showdown or a high-scoring offensive game with Cam Newton and Baker Mayfield. We'll have to find out and see, but I think Carolina wins. Atlanta goes to Green Bay. Great game on paper before the season started, but after the way both teams have played so far this season, Atlanta's 4-8, Green Bay's 4-7-1. Mike McCarthy's out of town now. I know for a fact that both of these fan bases for the Falcons and Packers are ready for this season to be over and for next season to start as soon as possible. But the Packers, they're playing at home. Aaron Rodgers finds a way to win over Matt Ryan. Cincinnati will go to LA to play the Chargers. I think the Chargers will win in a blowout. The Eagles will go to Big D to play the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas, they won on Sunday Night Football there a couple weeks ago, about a month ago now, versus the Eagles in Philadelphia at the Link by a score of 27-20 as well. The Cowboys, they're red hot right now. Everyone's jumping on the bandwagon. If you haven't done so already, I highly suggest don't, because right now I think the Dallas Cowboys versus the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday, I think the Cowboys, they'll find a way to lose, just like they normally do when they, have a couple game win streak, with a big win being last week against New Orleans there at home. Philly wins, I think, because Dallas will shoot themselves in the foot and find a way to lose. So give me Philly over Dallas. And plus Carson Wentz in Philadelphia, with him at the helm, with Doug Peterson being the head coach, they've had good success in Arlington, Texas. Pittsburgh will go to Oakland to play the Raiders. Old school rivalry between the Steelers and Oakland Raiders. Originally, Sunday Night Football game actually got flexed to 4:25 on Fox. Normally, if Pittsburgh is playing a AFC team on the road or at home, no matter the time, it's normally on CBS. So really weird, if you ask me, that the Steelers are playing the Raiders 25 on Fox. I get the time because they're playing out west. The 3-hour time difference. It's a 125, 130 local kick out at the Coliseum. But, like I said, old school rivalry. Steelers 0-3 versus the AFC West. Lost to Kansas City week 2. I was on Periscope for that back in September, if you guys can remember that. And then within the past 2 weeks, they went on the road to Denver, lost a close one, and then they lost last week at home versus the Chargers, also in a close one. But I think Pittsburgh, they'll snap their 2-game skid versus the 2-10 Oakland Raiders. So give me Pittsburgh over old Chucky John Gruden's Oakland Raiders. The Rams and Bears will play on Sunday Night Football. This is a game that got flexed into Sunday Night Football, and rightfully so. This is a better matchup. Hopefully going to be a better game than the Steelers-Raiders will turn out to be, but we'll have to see. But this is the first time since 1994 that the Los Angeles Rams and Chicago Bears are meeting and playing versus each other. As we all know, the Rams, 95 to 2015, they were in St. Louis, and then 16 they went back out to LA, and they are currently building a stadium to share with the Chargers. If Mitch Trubisky plays in this game, I think the Bears will win. If not, I think the Rams will win. It's going to be contingent on that. This is the game, along with the Steelers-Raiders, I'm planning on being on Periscope for on Sunday, so be sure to follow me on Twitter and Periscope at GoHandLuke96. So, hopefully either way, though, for this Sunday night game, and all these games on Sunday, every week, all year long, every season, hopefully we're in for a good game. Hopefully, it comes down the wire, just as the the Giants-Bears game went to overtime last week, and the Chargers-Steelers game ended on a game-winning field goal. So it's going to be contingent on if Mitch Trubisky plays for Chicago, has missed the last 2 games. Chase Daniels played in his absence, went 1-1, defeated Detroit on Thanksgiving, and lost to the Giants on Sunday. So I'm going to pick the Bears if Trubisky plays, but if he doesn't play, give me the Los Angeles Rams. And then on Monday Night Football, The Minnesota Vikings will go to Seattle to play the Seahawks. Minnesota has not won in Seattle. Looking back at my history there, looking some stuff up, they have not won in Seattle since 2006. Before that, it was 1990. So history on the Seahawks side there versus the Vikings. The Vikings 16 years of defeating the Seahawks in Seattle isn't up yet. So give me Seattle. I know that's a really stupid reason to pick the Seahawks, but give me Seattle over Minnesota. Plus Seattle, CenturyLink Field, really tough place to play, especially on Monday Night Football. So saw what happened there a couple weeks ago on Thursday Night Football when the Green Bay Packers went to Seattle, and that was really when the dominoes started to fall for the Packers season when they lost to Seattle, and that's basically when everybody started getting on Mike McCarthy, who, as I said, has been fired by the Green Bay Packers. So looking for a new job. We'll have to see if Cleveland decides to hire him. Cleveland and Green Bay are the only two openings right now in the NFL. So hopefully you guys enjoyed my college football week 15 and NFL week 14 predictions. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Be sure to hit that subscribe button as well right here on YouTube. And then, as I said, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to Gridiron Ring and myself on social media. All the links are in the description below.